The tanks getting killed rapidly, seemingly out of nowhere. We feel this is unsatisfying and prefer if tank damage to generally be evenly distributed, but still threatening over time. If tanks are not threatened enough, then the most challenging part of endgame content can become keeping DPS and healers alive, often against high burst damage. Making tank survival a more involving element of group gameplay could give us some freedom to ease up on the threat to other group members. To address this, we're making reductions to tank durability and safe self-healing. This will allow us to smooth out the damage tanks and parties take, while retaining the challenge of keeping them alive over time. We'll take those changes into account in encounter tuning as well. Tanks take more damage overall, but shouldn't die significantly more often. To increase the overall damage tanks take and their reliance on healers, we're primarily increasing the percentage of damage they take after mitigation from steady sources like physical attacks. So you're telling me you've never seen your tank just get meleeed by 8 guys at once and just say, oh fuck, I didn't parry, and then die? You're telling me that's never happened? No one has ever died from 100% health or like 90 to just physical melees. No, that doesn't bring to mind anything. Right? We're making fewer reductions to each class's defenses against burst damage or other threats that are currently most likely to be lethal to them. Encounters will be tuned with this in mind, so the character of tank damage changes, but the lethality of it doesn't significantly increase. I hope that means they're making melees deal less damage, because right now, tanks are just getting one shot by melees. Blood Death Knight. Oh, so this is a good one. Death Strike is a powerful ability that allows Blood Death Knights to mitigate a percentage of any form of damage taken in the last 5 seconds. In a way, Death Strike works like a retroactive shield block. Instead of reducing damage up front, it mitigates the damage you took from a hit by healing you. If used in succession, Death Strike can affect a single hit multiple times, which would be comparable to blocking a hit, then going back in time and blocking it again. In some cases, restoring yourself to higher health than where you started. In War Within, we're changing Death Strike to only heal Death Knight for a percentage of damage taken from a given damage event once, to make it scale more like other mitigation mechanics. This means you can only Death Strike a hit. That means if you Death Strike more than once every 5 seconds, then you're wasting RP. Basically, it seems like you can only Death Strike once every 5 seconds. That's what it sounds like. I mean, if you Death Strike like more than that, it'll work a little bit. It'll heal a lot less. We're also reducing runic power generation, so reducing the amount of mitigation. Death Knights. Okay, this with increasing armor from Bone Shield. Overall, Death Knights take more damage more smoothly, and they're being one of the strongest tanks for encounters with high magic or periodic damage. Okay, so we're reducing runic power generation somewhat, reducing the magication. Okay, Death Strike can only heal Death Knight. Okay, we went over that. This is like basically GG Death Knight. The next new aura, blah, blah, blah. Blood Shield's cap is now 50 instead of 100. This, honestly, is probably like barely matters because Death Strike doesn't do shit anymore. Rune of the Fallen Crusader now heals for 4% instead of 6. Less RP, less DR, 20% more armor poggers. Now it's like you have half an AUG in the group when you have no AUG. Really good. Leeching Strike reduced. Parry chance by 35 was 40. Less RP generated. Less duration. Less healing from Blood Drinker. Less healing from Bone Storm. They haven't said anything about reducing melee damage. Yeah, it looks like it's Jover for Death Knight, if I had to guess. Okay, VDH. Like Death Strike for Death Knight, Soul Fragments give VDH strong recovery against anti damage as well as strong self-healing. Because Demon Hunters consume Soul Fragments steadily, we're not changing the rules for how often they can affect the damage event. We're increasing their overall damage taken while keeping the power of Soul Fragments and Demon Spikes. So, okay, Live by the Glaive, who gives a fuck? Thick Skin, okay, they're getting 1 shot more. 2% more DR damage taken. Soul Cleave healing. Soul Cleave didn't heal for shit anyway, lol. Frailty heals for 8%, down from 10%. Void Reaver reduces by 3. Illuminate Sigil's 12% parry from 15. This is actually a massive change, by the way. For Ice, is just Illuminate Sigil is just straight dead from this. Down in Flames reduces by 12, down from 15, so less brand up time. Meta is less max health. Dark Lair Boon nerfed. BDH was already pretty trash. It's just Jover for BDK, or for VDH. VDH is, it's actually dead with this. It's just dead. All right, Guardian. High armor, uptime, one of the best tanks for physical damage. We're slightly increasing damage taken from all types of damage and balancing the power of their self-healing. We're also reducing the duration of some of their cooldowns to make timing them more important. Frenzied Regen heals you for a lot less. Well, this is like a 50% nerf to Frenzied Regen, okay? Iron Current gives you less armor. But I think that's not a big deal, actually, because you were hitting armor cap anyway, so this is basically not a change. Renewal, don't care. Reinvigoration, reduces Frenzied Regen cooldown. This is actually a pretty big deal. Actually, it's not a big deal right now because you play Moonbear, And with Moonberry, you get both points in reinvigoration. So with 20% reduced frenzied regen CDR, it's actually you actually don't really run out of frenzies. I think this is obviously a nerf, but I think it's actually fine. Earth Warden, don't care. Spiral of Hittist, don't really care. This is like a very small change. I feel like they just look at numbers like 12 and 15 and 30 and they think that they mean the same thing. Like IS from 15 to 12 means way more than this. Like this is increasing your damage taken like by 30% or something, or like by 10%. This is like reducing the cooldown of your bark by like it's going from 38 to 20. Like they just don't know what these numbers mean when they make them lower. So anyway, this doesn't matter. This barely matters. I wouldn't say it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter as much because you don't really play TNC. This is a pretty big nerf, obviously, but I think it's kind of a good thing because after the wildfire was kind of OP. Ursock's Fury. Okay, fortunately with the Moonberry, you don't play this. Elune's Favored heals you for... This is a very big nerf to Elune's Favored. Sleeper to 8. The Leech was kind of whatever. DR... This will be pretty noticeable, but I don't think it's the biggest deal. This is a pretty big deal, and this is a pretty big deal. But the rest of these are like kind of just whatever, to be honest. I think Bear is probably coming out the most unscathed from all the tanks I've read so far. So it looks like Bear is going to be pretty strong still. Especially Moonbear. The other one, it was never strong. But Moonbear, I think, will be pretty strong still. They like didn't touch any of the moon stuff. Brewmaster. Healers have more time or goal to heal monks because of stagger. Our goal is for monks to take a little more damage than other tanks to offset the effect. However, we feel the overall mag damage mitigation is a little low and are improving it by buffing stagger and its value against magic. To increase their physical damage taken overall, we're reducing the dodge and some of their other talents. Okay. Celestial so Brewmaster's balance. So this is if it was 125, now it's 150. So that's what, 20% increase to armor? Yeah, if it was 125, now it's 150. So it's 20% increase to armor. Elusive Brawler, chance to dodge reduced by 12. I think that's pretty big, but I don't quite know. Celestial Fortune, there's a certain amount healed. This was 80%. This is kind of just whatever. Amount of damage staggered increased by 8%? Percentage of magic. Dude, what? So they nerf every tank and they buff Brew. Dodge chance decreased from Dance in the Wind. Yulon's Grace decreased. Healing Winds restores. 10% was 15. Staggering. Okay, I'll be honest, I don't play that much Brew, so I don't know as much, but it really seems like every single tank got nerfed and Brew got buffed. Prot Pally. Paladins have a good balance of defenses against physical and magic. They can be in danger if they lose the defensive power of Standing Consecration, so we're not reducing the passives. Like Druids, Paladins have high uptime on their defensive cooldowns, so we're pulling back some of their durations. We would like to have Paladins have slightly more self-healing, so we're increasing the power of Word of Glory. Okay, Shield of the Righteous, increase your armor nerfed. Damage reduction. What? I thought they just said they're not changing that. They can be in danger if they lose the defensive power of Standing in Consecration, or if the armor drops, so we are not reducing any of their physical defenses passively. And they just nerf these. Huh? What am I reading, man? Huh? Okay. Sanctified Plates no longer applies to armors. Okay, that's another massive nerf. Improved Holy Shield. Okay, less spell block. This is kind of irrelevant, though. Okay, just 1% more damage taken for fun. Word of Glory healed you for, like, 1% of your health, and now it heals you for 1.1. Very good. Sentinel is 16. Okay, it's just... And Righteous Protector is nerfed. Okay, Holy... Prot Paladin is just dead. Like, you are not permitted to spec Prot Paladin, ever. It is actually more dead than Flood DK. I have never seen, like, stronger nerfs. Like, Paladin was already the worst tank in War Within. It was not even close. It was actually by far the worst tank in War Within on beta, and it was not even close. And now it is really, really, really not even close. It's just straight dead. Oh, what have they done to my boy, man? This is my favorite tank, and this is what they did. Like, it wasn't even good. It hasn't been good in so many seasons. What is this? Holy moly. It's just dead. It is actually, you're not allowed to play Prot Paladin. Like, if you spec Prot Paladin, your account should be banned. Like, that's the same nerf as this. Okay, anyway. Warriors are the strongest tank against physical damage, so they can be vulnerable to magic or periodic. In this round of changes, we're increasing their damage taken across the board by reducing the power of defensive stance. Okay. Whereas also some strong heals that scale with their maximum health, so we're reducing the power of that. Pain and gain heal reduced, impending victory reduced, defensive stance, okay, 4% more damage taken for fun. Into the haste down, stamina and armor down. Oh my god, defender's aegis reduces the cooldown. Wait, So you have more shield wall. Okay. A buff in the Sea of Nerfs? I mean, maybe? It actually doesn't look that bad. When you look at what they did to PROT Paladin, this is Warrior kind of got through somewhat unscathed. The only problem is Warrior wasn't that good to begin with. Like, it was okay, but it wasn't that strong. Yeah, I think you actually have pretty high amount of shield wall casts per dungeon now, so this might not be that bad. Yeah, this rupture out cooldown, like, what the fuck? Come on, man. Oh, man. So, alright, we'll go over all the tanks, I guess, since some people weren't here from the start. So Blood Decay, basically, the way they made Death Strike work, all this is summarized by... So, right now... What's up, Life vs. Death? Right now, if you Death Strike twice in a row, like, let's say a mob hits you for, like, 10, and then you Death Strike twice, it'll count that 10 towards both Death Strikes. But the change is, now if a mob hits you and you Death Strike, then that 10 has already been counted. If you Death Strike again, it doesn't count that 10 anymore. So it'll be like, if you Death Strike once every 5 seconds, exactly every 5 seconds, then you're basically getting the full effect from Death Strikes, other than like the base healing, I think, unless that's gone too. It's like all those times you're playing tank and you're just like, oh man, I wish my self-healing would heal me more. You're just gonna be really sad, because it won't. So yeah, it is not looking good for Blood Decay. I mean, we'll see. Blood Decay is pretty fucking good right now on beta, so it might not be enough to make them not that good, but yeah, we'll see. VDH is actually dead. Like, this IS was already not that good, now it's dead. Down in Flames, this was what made VDH kind of playable, I think, but now it's not that good. This is a massive change. Void Reaver reduced damage take. So before, let's say you had 10 stacks of Frailty, you're taking 40% reduced damage. Now you take 30% reduced. So, I mean, it's all in all, it's like 12 to 15% reduced damage taken. Frailty healing down is a pretty big deal too. You know, now that I look at this again, I feel like VDH might, like, after seeing what they did to the other tanks, I feel like VDH actually, you know, got off not as nerfed as the rest. Like, it's still not looking good, but I think VDH will be not changing tier. Like, I think it got as nerfed as the rest of them. Or, like, not as nerfed as some, but, you know, nerfed a little bit. So the average tank, in terms of average tank power level, I think VDH got changed not that much. I think if you're, the rules haven't really changed. If you have meta or brand, I think you can still tank the pack. Unless it's like Necrotic Wake or something. You're just gonna need more healing. Guardian got some nerfs, but I think they're actually not nearly as big as the other tanks. We'll have to see what this does. Elun's favored reduced by 25, and Frenzied Regen has longer CD and does less healing. But I think Moonbear might make it through. Like, I think VDH got nerfed less than Bear did, but Bear was just stronger to baseline. And then Brew just randomly got buffed. In a sea of nerfs, Brew just gets buffed, which is insane. I'm pretty sure Brew is like is going to be the best healer, best tank, like, by a lot now. Stagger increased by 8, and Magic Stagger increased to 58 is very big. And also just, you know, 20% more armor for fun. It might actually be a Brew season. I think it's actually a Brew season. I think Brew, well, that's the thing, right? Brew actually, like, I've described Brew as, like, it's like you're playing DK, but someone else is pushing Death Strike. But now, you know, someone else will just, now it's someone else is pushing Death Strike for all the tanks. So, you know, the best one at receiving the Death Strikes / healing from your healer is Brew. It's looking good for Brew. I think Bear was like, Bear got nerfed a lot less than Blood Decay got nerfed, and I think Bear and DK were the top two. So I think Bear is still going to be pretty strong, but Brew has to be just through the roof right now. Yeah, they said this is actually just, I can't believe what they did to Prot Pally. Like, if they just did this alone, Prot Pally was already gutted. And then they do all this. Like, maybe not this, like these three. These three alone is like GG already. Then they're just passively making them way, way, way squishier when they're already squishy. I can't believe they do this and they don't touch raid buffs too. Like, what the fuck? In raid? I don't really know in raid. I think, actually, you know, I think VDH is probably, like, okay, so this is my opinion about raid tanking. Damage, like, surviving the damage you take in raid has almost never been a problem. Maybe, like, you know, the first time you got to Farrak, or the first time you got to Denathrius, or even Sarkareth, like, those tanks, those do kind of hurt tanks, but it's solvable, right? Like, most of the time when you get there, when you fight a boss in a raid, you're not even playing, like, full tank talents. You're playing DPS talents. If you play full tank talents, I'm pretty sure like most raid bosses will be pretty easy. It's really just Mythic Plus where tanks actually are challenged by their survivability. It's really hard to tell exactly how bad this is, but my instinct says that it is not looking pretty. You need a TLDR. All right, we'll go through it one more time. So Blizzard is basically saying tanks are too strong. We don't like it when they get one shot. We don't like it when, basically, they don't like it when tanks are not relying on healers. But if they mess up, then they get one shot. They said they don't like that. That's basically what all of this is saying. Their response is all tank self-healing is pretty much nerfed. But then on top of that, which if they want the game to play that way, you know, not my preference, but whatever, fine. But then they're also just nerfing every single damage reduction that tanks have.